Costa. And this time, his name is Bubba.
Emma scores on a 34-yard touchdown run by the Doak Walker Award winner, Trent Richardson, who broke a lot of Emmett Smith's records back in Pensacola, Florida.
And welcome into the Sports Drive right here on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM. I am Chad Brillante. Glad to be with you here as we're having some fun with you on this Thursday evening. Well, when I say having some fun, literally just begun, so who knows. But it's been a fun day. Weather, starting to creep in right now, and you find something out pretty cool every single day. Found out that when cold fronts are coming in, squirrels go crazy in the trees. So there you go. You learn something new every single day. If you're heading out to the fair, ESPN Pensacola News Radio, they've got the man cave going on. Ooh, it's awesome right there. You can get a keg of beer right there. I tried to tap it. Apparently there's no tap. So you can take it home, do what you want to do with it. Gulf Coast Brewery offering the keg right there. You got a Lazy Boy right there, Lazy Boy recliner from obviously Lazy Boy. You look at the tokens of custard right there. Literally tokens of custard from Culver's. Pretty sweet. You get 100 wings from Beef O'Brady's. That is awesome. Not out there. They're not sitting out in the heat or anything. They're actually just go to Beef O'Brady's and get yourself 100 wings. Got a TV from Buywise. Just so many great gifts across the board. And we're going to be talking about all of them coming up here on the show. Also, we're going to get some more coming up here. Jeff Price will join us. You can hear him on the WFGX games right there with Christian Garmin. And I believe he's showing up right now. Yeah, Jeff, well, come on in. He's wearing never mind. He's wearing Oregon shirt on there, so I'm not 100% sure I'm going to put him on air with that shirt. No, I actually said he's okay to wear that. Look, I'm an equal opportunity. When we win fake national titles and at UCF, you just go with the flow right there. And Jeff will be joining us here to have some fun coming up on the show. How about them Nationals right there? Man, I'm telling you, some teams are just destined. But then in baseball, that's the one sport, though, where you can get one quarterback. Think about it throughout the days of college football. And think about all the great quarterbacks when Vince Young, Pete Carroll might not have known on that day the perfect way for a QB contain, if that even was something that was possible. When Texas walked in, Matthew McConaughey was saying, all right, and watching them go out there and they beat USC. Never forget watching that game. I was in college at a place called Pounders. Don't judge. It was actually a pretty cool bar in Orlando. And if you're from Orlando, Devaney's and Pounders are the places that you probably have been to a couple times and not remember the next morning. But Pounders, I'm out there watching the game, and DJ Jake, he was one of my friends, had the classic DJ Jake out there. And he was a huge USC guy, played football there and basketball, two-sport athlete. And there was a big guy in a cowboy hat, the guy that was wearing the way too tight jeans, trying to show off to some girl that was out of his league. And right after that, he had too many cervezas, and he tossed his drink way up in the air, and it landed all over. And if you DJ, or if you're in the radio or TV business, equipment's not cheap. The stuff in front of me, if you ever watch, and you can check us out, by the way, go to YouTube on ESPN Pensacola. But if you ever seen the show on TV, like the equipment in front of us is, each one of these pieces is worth thousands upon thousands. Go try to be like a photographer. Like, well, I know how to take pictures of the beach and kids walking at the park, and that's creepy. And whatever you're doing out there, maybe you think that you're a photographer. And guess what? To get yourself a real nice lens and become a professional, you might be having to fork up maybe probably 5 figures for it. It's not an easy path. Equipment is not cheap. And all this guy just threw his drink, his rum and Coke, all over the board. And I'll never forget Jake's face at that moment, watching his team lose the national championship on that final play and getting that at the same time. That's one I will never forget. The rest of the night was pretty blurry because it was around midnight. But looking at the stories of watching what Washington's doing. In football, you can have that one great athlete, Deshaun Watson. You can have that one great player just completely go to town, have the game of his career, and can win any game. Not really in baseball. I mean, think about it. You have a guy double off the wall. Next guy gets up there, takes a great 4-pitch walk. Horrible pitching then. More of a 7-pitch walk. And then all of a sudden, you get the next guy coming out there, and he grounds into a double play and the next guy strikes out, and your double to start the inning is irrelevant. It's a complete team game where every individual, the solo matchups, mano-a-mano, mean the world. And it seems every one of the guys on Washington is being more clutch than the guys on Houston. Even the MVPs, the little guys that can't even ride rides at Disney right now in Jose Altuve, bombs a 2-run homer to beat the Yankees. Probably one of the most friendly, loving kind of guys you'll ever meet. But last night, gets on second base, the energy, tries to steal third and gets thrown out at third. It just seems like everything seems to be going Washington's way late. And what was a 2-2 game going into the top of the seventh, it was one play away from keeping the game 3-2, and then they imploded for 6 runs. The final score 12-3, and now the Washington Nationals, who were the biggest underdog in a World Series, because when you get to the World Series, both teams are pretty legit. I would hope you agree with that. But they're the biggest underdog since 2007. And in 2007, this is a time where you're looking right now at almost 12 years. I know that sounds like yesterday. Times, when people are like, Y2K, all our computers are going to freeze. It's 19 years ago. It's like, it's crazy right there. Bozo the Clown was 30 years ago. I remember watching the grand prize game right there with bucket tosses like it was yesterday. These things are getting... Jurassic Park was 26 years ago. This is insanity right now, thinking how old some of these things are. Rock'em Sock'em robots don't even exist. But I look right now at what's going on in the World Series, and Washington as a huge underdog, now up 2-0, taking games from the 2 best pitchers maybe in the game, in Garrett Cole and Justin Verlander, and now sitting there with a great start. And now they're heading back to the nation's capital with 3 straight games there. So if they can win 2 of the 3 at home, they close out the World Series. Odds are in their favor, but you never know with Houston. They've done crazier things before. 12-3 victory for Washington. Was listening to it right here on ESPN Pensacola and enjoying it. Joining us now, wearing his Oregon. That is actually a very, I guess you could say, I want to say, calm Oregon Duck outfit that he has on today compared to like the 17,000 neon crossing guard uniforms you can have right there. Jeff Price joining us. You can hear him on WFGX games right there with Christian Garman doing a great job in high school football. I've worked with Jeff through Blab and through a number of different games in the past. He's done UWF football. And Jeff, by the way, nice clean shaven and good to see you. I'm sort of going grizzly homeless on you, and you come up here looking all clean and good to see you, my friend. How you been?
Good, man. You talk about Oregon real quick. Let me just get this out of the way.
That's exactly what I wasn't talking about.
Exactly.
Please,
I don't get to talk about it ever around here. All right, we don't even have one of those fake national championships.
I get a quota on UCF, so you better. I'm starting your quota clock right now on this.
No, so I only get to wear this, so often. I can't wear it around here because Florida State, Florida, especially, they're all good. Mm-hmm. We're on the West Coast and we just can't win the big game. So, it is what it is. No, I've been good, man. Absolutely. Things been going great. Football, high school football. How about that? We've had a lot of really good teams in the area this year, and it's a good turn where we've normally had 1 or 2 maybe. This year it's been phenomenal. Talk about a story like Washington, the Wildcats.
Incredible story, yeah.
Big game tomorrow night, and you guys are covering it. So
yeah, it's going to be fun, and I'm looking at all those games. Milton Pace got moved to tonight, so a lot of big games in the area, and getting to work with Christian. Christian's an awesome guy, a professional. I bet there's a lot of all right, it's third down here, and also 82 with a slight chance of rain at 50%. I love that. We joke with Christian so much because when we got to host the show right there for Blue Angels, when Blab did the coverage of Blue Angels on the beach, and it was Molly Barrows, professional. She was one of the lead anchors right there for so many years. Molly Barrows Vygotsky now, and just a class act, one of the best to work with. And then there was Dave right there, one of the pros that actually flew in from CNN, and Dave was incredible, and he came in, and I remember working with Christian, though, and Christian just so precise with everything, checking the weather reports, and him and Alan, I've hung out with both those guys as the meteorologists, and they both are just, always looking. Look at that cloud coverage. I was like, actually, to me, that looks like a rabbit with like a Easter bunny hat on. I'm making things out of the clouds with my daughter.
The same
exactly. And he's like, that means the cumulonimbus circulating around. If you see a little of the stratus, I'm like, all right, you lost me here. I just checked my weather bug on my phone. But talk a little bit about the high school scene. I haven't been around it as much this year, but how has it been going? And for the teams, like you said, I know Catholic. I know what we've seen from the incredible start to an incredible year for Washington when last year they didn't win anything, and now they're undefeated, and the whole entire perception and culture has changed around there. And then Pine Forest winning the district and the way L.D. Clardy and all the folks out there have done it. It's been a pretty exciting year for a number of good teams.
It really has, and we needed that here in Pensacola.
Scambia,
We've had teams that have, made the playoffs, but we've never been able to make a deep run. And what Coach Whidden's been able to do at Washington is phenomenal. I mean, he has turned that program around. And the thing is that I love is he built it on that defense. And keep in mind, they're still missing a couple of their prime starters that they lost earlier in the year. And you look at teams like Escambia, we knew Escambia was going to be good. Mm-hmm. We didn't know they were going to be this good. You've got, let's see, you feel bad for a team like PHS. And the one thing that people ask me all the time, well, PHS is, they're just no good anymore. Well, that's not true. That coach, he's turning everything around, and it takes some time, in a place like that. You don't just have athletes just transferring in. We see a lot of high schools and they get all these, 3-star athletes or whatever it may be. We see schools like Escambia that do it every year. That's really hard to do every year. And you talk about Pensacola Catholic with Jacoby Jackson and Wayman Jordan, those two right there. And if you haven't been able to check them out, you have to go. It's worth the price of admission because those two are going to be playing on Saturdays for sure.
For sure. Looking right now at some of the big stories, look, nothing ever works as it's supposed to in sports. Besides, Alabama's really good, and so is New England. And everybody still throws things at me when I wear my Patriot gear. But, you look at the way that things go down, and sorry, your Oregon Ducks, I bring them up on the show a lot, how the difference between a couple plays in a drive, because they really did own that game against Auburn. Not owning where it was a 31-7 comeback or something like that, but they really owned a lot of that football game. And then all of a sudden, you had a final drive. Bo Nix wins that game, and the conversation now is way back in like the Ocho, like by the obituaries in the sports column, if there is. But you're talking about something that nobody brings up. But the truth of the matter, Jeff, is if Oregon wins that game, we might have some chaos in the college football playoff. And there's a lot of football left. We always talk about that. Then Wisconsin could beat Ohio State. I don't think it's going to happen this week, but you never know. LSU could lose to Auburn. That line's actually moving in favor of Auburn. It opened at 12, and now it's down to 10. So there's a lot of people that you look at and could lose. And it always seems to work that way late in the season. But right now, you have a situation where, let's say Ohio State stays on the path, which I believe they are. They're a complete team.
Right.
Oklahoma with Jalen Hurts. The Big 12 is just not good this year compared to, what Oklahoma is. Then you have a team in Clemson who has the easiest path, because if I had asked you the question, who's the second best team in the ACC, you might as well get out a coin that has, 13 different sides on it and just throw it up in the air and say, oh, look at that, because you have no clue. Virginia Tech's not that good anymore. Florida State, we're moving on. Wake Forest is right now currently the second best team, but the athletes, they played a backup quarterback last week that would have a hard time sometimes beating UWF out, Right. So I look right now and I say, I think that Clemson, Oklahoma, and Ohio State, those are three that have a great path. Then you have Alabama or LSU or Georgia or Florida, all four of them. And even Auburn at this point is not out. And we'll be talking to good old legendary Coach Pat Dye coming up here at 5:45. But you got all five of those teams still with a shot. Missouri outside shot. Only one of those teams is going to get a spot this year, it seems. If Oregon would have won that game, that would have been another spot of an undefeated champion pretty much, because I don't think Oregon's going to lose any more games. They're playing Washington State. They're playing a Mike Leach crazy team this week. They're a 15-point favorite at home. So you have, across the board right now, pretty much 7 or 8 teams fighting for 4 viable spots, and this doesn't look like the type of year where it's going to be obvious. And if Auburn doesn't beat Oregon in that game, then there is going to be a lot of craziness this year.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's always been the problem with Oregon. We talk about it, they come into the year, and Coach Cristobal has been doing a really good job. But what's really good in the Pac-12? The Pac-12 has been behind the curve lately. And being an Oregon fan, I'm not afraid to say it, as much as it hurts to say. But you just never win that big game. And you're right. Auburn comes in. If we win that game, who knows? It's still so tough when you look at strength of schedule and, Pac-12 after dark. Nobody really knows and watches these games. And when you watch it, a UCLA and Arizona maybe, when you say Arizona's one of the up-and-coming teams, and Arizona wouldn't scratch the surface in the SEC or, the Big Ten. So when I look at teams like that, and I look at Oregon, it's a lot of what-ifs. But absolutely, you an undefeated team that's in a Power 5 conference, you got to give them a shot. You got to at least put them in the conversation.
Or even if you're in the American, right? Oh, never mind. That's never mind.
Another day.
You just we're better at just having parades. When we come back, we're going to get some more. Jeff Price joining us here. Does a great job with WFGX on high school football. We've worked together in play-by-play, and somebody that once in a while laughs at my jokes, so I call him. But you don't have to on cue. That was fake. But he's like, I'm not getting paid for that. But we're going to go talk a little more about the games coming up here. And Jarvis Landry, we're going to beat the Patriots. We just are. That sounds like the kid being like, no, I'm not going to bed. And be like, but you are going to bed. No, I'm not. Why? I'm not. And like, okay, you're still going to bed. Jarvis, you're still going to go sleeping night in this one as a 13-point underdog. Nobody has beaten the Patriots in 2 years at home, and I don't believe you are going to be the one when they're shopping right now for more weapons. When Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr. are probably, at the beginning of the season, one of the best combos in the history of the NFL in a lot of people's minds, and the Browns are shopping for playmakers for Baker Mayfield right now. That is not a good sign. We're coming back for more. It's the Sports Drive off and running. Pensacola Interstate Fair, if you're looking for something fun to do tonight, always fun out there on a Thursday night to get out there and enjoy the fair. We're coming back for more right here. It's the Sports Drive, ESPN Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck, Bentley. That was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
At Capital One, you can open a new savings account in about 5 minutes and earn 5 times the national average. 5 minutes? That's less time than you spend arguing about how to pronounce GIF.
Wait, GIF or JIF?
Hard G. Less time than you spend trying to stick to your paleo diet.
Resist the carbs. Ooh, brownies.
No brownies. That's about 5 minutes to earn 5 times the national average savings rate. This is banking reimagined. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Rate comparison based on FDIC national rate. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
Halloween is around the corner, but riding season is not over yet. This Thursday, it's Fright Night Bike Night at Harley-Davidson of Pensacola. Ride out to Harley-Davidson of Pensacola this Thursday for live music from High Horse Band. Enjoy some barbecue from Smokin' Joe's. And don't forget the Harley's Angels will be serving free drinks. Prizes awarded for best costume. It's all Thursday. Fright Night Bike Night at Harley-Davidson of Pensacola. Harley-Davidson of Pensacola. Let's ride.
There's a lot going on right now, and broadcasters are on the ground, covering all of it, bringing you the weather, the traffic, and breaking news, all while entertaining you 24 hours a day. Someone needs to tell you what's going on around the world and in our hometowns, and that someone is us. We are free radio. We are always there. We are broadcasters. Visit wearebroadcasters.com or text radio to 52886 to learn more. Furnished by NAB and this station.
Plants capture CO2. What if we could help industrial plants capture it too? Think how we could help lower emissions. More and more scientists think carbon capture is key to reducing CO2 emissions globally. It's one way ExxonMobil is helping industrial plants be more like plants. That's the unexpected energy of ExxonMobil.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, U.S. Tax Shield can help you take back control. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Our team of tax attorneys can stop collections and get you protected. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the BBB, so call 800-494-6139. U.S. Tax Shield, 800-494-6139.
The Paul Feinbaum Show.
Everything you wanted to happen hasn't happened.
Oh my gosh, that's all any of y'all want to talk about is Alabama.
You're really not understanding the conversation, but anyway, we can move on.
Alabama's dynasty has just begun.
Hold on a second, Charles. Somebody wants to talk to you.
I don't want to talk that compelling moron.
He's nothing but a lame-headed old man.
2 till 5 every weekday afternoon. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
You're out of your freaking mind, cowturd.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Something about college high school football, playing a little marching bands right there to get you involved. And this is actually Crazy Train, arranged by Paul Murtha right there. No clue who that is, but they sound great. I'm just saying it's, college football, the bands, the passion. That was one thing when UWF, they actually had when we were doing and you actually called the UWF games, correct? You were the the voice right there.
I helped Tommy throw.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we both worked with him, and now look at him. You and I can take credit for why he's in Cincy, right? That's what I say. I'm just playing with him, actually.
Maybe you.
No. We working with Tommy over the years was so funny because Tommy is like the polar opposite because you've worked with him. He's got 50 sheets of paper. He's got this. Most people think that I have like a bunch of notes on this thing. Like I actually am randomly right now looking at a picture of like the laptop of a girl.
That's relaxing.
I need to explain this to radio. People are like, why are you looking at a girl? It's the background of what the computer gives you. Correct? If anybody's out there listening, sweetie, it's the background of the desktop computer right there. Like I'm looking at a girl, but. The difference is Tommy would come and he would have 15 notes set up and he'd have his highlighters, and he used to get mad at me because I would bring nothing but whatever I could find in my jeans, and I'd be like, Tommy, do I need it? And he's like, can I borrow your highlighter? And he's like, okay, Chad. And I'm like writing the stats on the side. But for me, it's all up here somehow, up there in that crazy brain. And Tommy was so prepared. And that's not my style, but we both had fun, and we both, I thought it was fun to work with him and enjoyed it. So I wish him the best. And for years, I will be listening to him on the Reds and what they have going on. Taking over for Marty Brenneman, you're talking about a legend. So that's pretty awesome right there.
Yeah, I think with Tommy, and the one thing is, with him, he was telling me, last year, of course, he went up there and filled in for Marty for just a little bit, for that weekend when Marty had his tournament, his charity golf tournament and everything.
Apparently got sick when Tommy needed to fill in.
But no, he went up there and he's like, he came back and he was doing high school football with us, and he just goes, I don't think they like me very much. And I was like, well, you're trying to replace a legend. Like, that's the way they look at it. He said, but I'm not trying to replace him. He's like, I just filled in for him.
I know the feeling more than anything. When I first got the call to move down here, and I was working with the old ESPN Pensacola, and the only spot they had was they put me where Golick and Wingo in the morning. And I even advised them. It was Mike and Mike at the time. And I remember telling them, I'm like, I don't think this is a good idea. I'm like, that's their number one show. Let's not do any. And when we got here and all the group that, thanks to Mary, Dave, and all the folks here at ADX, Kevin, and just all the people that put so much hard work into making this the ESPN and have this as our local sports station. But I remember when we were sitting there, I said, we do not need to have a local show in the morning. A lot of places want a local show, but I'm like, you got Mike and Mike and now Golick and Wingo. This is the number one rated sports show. Right. People love it, and it's football season. This is what we do. We live and breathe it. That's why, we got Paul Feinbaum, Levitard Makes You Laugh. We got Coach K, a former NFL coach, right here, and then my show where we get to talk just about everything. But I remember sitting there, and the first job I take over that, and everybody calling in like, how dare you kidnap Golick and Wingo off my hair? I'm like, I have nothing to do with any of this. I'm just trying to do my job. But when you do, for what Tommy's going through, taking a job of Marty Brenneman, that retired, by the way, for the folks that don't know. He didn't just push him out of the way since he's old, but he's done a great job, and we're looking forward to the best of it for him working up there. For sure.
Yeah, I'm sure you had some of the callers like Coach Feinbaum gets, and boy,
yeah,
Coach
right.
Feinbaum show is so much fun to listen to. Not even just talking about sports, just the people. Like, you can imagine just them sitting at their house and just can't wait for the Feinbaum show so they can complain about something.
The best part about the Feinbaum show is there's always somebody, because the SEC is so top-heavy, you got 5 teams in the top 10, and it's going to be that way. But when you have that many good teams, somebody has to lose.
Right.
Like Auburn or LSU, somebody is going to be really ticked off this week. So you get all of the callers, disgruntled callers, and then you get all of the happy callers, like Daryl, who's a huge Georgia fan. When they lost to South Carolina, everybody else was like, all right, Daryl. And he's like, you punks, you want to come after me? You know where my address is? I got a golf club, a 7-iron in my hand. And I'm like, oh, my gosh. Like, so every week somebody's got to be irate. And it makes me laugh. But, the guy that said that, the guy that said Auburn's going to win by 40 points this week. Then once in a while you get a guy, you're like, okay, let's get back to earth a little on that one. I do want to talk a little bit about the college football playoff scenario and some of the teams. Right now, there's so much time. And if anything we've learned in college football, be patient. Right. It was the final week of the season, and when Alabama and LSU played a game where it seemed like a hockey match where the final score was 9-6. Somebody had to kick field goals, and Alabama's kicker over the last decade is one that Nick Saban really, frankly, doesn't care as much about recruiting because everybody else is 5 stars. But I remember, Jeff, in that game that when I'm watching them, the one thing that I looked at and said, okay, you know what? The teams around them at the top, these aren't teams that probably are going to be able to survive forever. And that's when, remember, Oklahoma State played Iowa State. Brandon Weeden was like 100. And they had that game where Iowa State went out there and won it as a 28-point underdog. So Oklahoma State gets eliminated. Then you had Boise State that actually, for the first time, the Smurf Turf Warriors might have a shot. And they're playing Nevada, which was Colin Kaepernick, and we move on from there. And then he misses the kick wide right, and they don't get a shot. Then you had a team in Stanford with Andrew Luck that had a shot. And they lose the game late. And you had 3 teams that all continue to crumble, that everybody sat with their arms crossed and been like, there's no way the rest of the country wants to see this. And this is before a playoff. This is the only 1 and 2 teams, but you had to put Alabama and LSU there based on the accolades and merit. It wasn't fair to leave them out because Alabama's only loss was to an LSU team there by 3 points. So they go back, Alabama wins. But it seemed that year, it was the epitome of knowing that if you just waited a couple weeks, things are going to happen. But if it goes down the path, I want to ask you this question. You can weigh in as well. 850-623-1330 is the number. 850-623-1330. You can also text in. We have our Zip Whip text line up here, so you can go ahead and text us right now at 850-623-1330 and put what game, and we'll read it. Put your name and where you're from, and we'll read what team that you would like to see. Would you rather, right now though, if the season ended today in a national title game, would you rather get Clemson, Alabama, number 5, straight like Mambo number 5 right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get 5 in a row. It's been 5 in a row if that happens this year. Would you rather have that matchup, Lawrence versus maybe Tua with the ankle? Or would you rather have Oklahoma and Jalen Hurts versus Alabama? Or would you write like the other, letter E on one of those Scantron tests? Would you like other? Would you like another matchup, like a matchup between LSU and Ohio State, which would be fun to watch? Or would Joe Burrow playing his former team? There's so many storylines. Or would you like to see Oklahoma, Alabama, or the Clemson-Alabama matchup again? Jeff, I'm going to let you answer this so easy question right here. And just throw in a vote for Oregon. I'm not just going to.
Look, okay, we can just make the Rose Bowl.
Let's just make Oregon UCF a game, and we'll just have fun out there.
I think everybody wants to see Oklahoma and Alabama just because of the storyline itself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think any of the teams. I don't know. I just think with the Clemson, they're national champions until somebody takes it over. It's just that up and down. I think people are kind of tired of them. Where Alabama's been Alabama, and they're good. You look at them, you're like, oh, well, their defense isn't good. Well, everything else is, and Clemson, it's just like, oh, well, Trevor Lawrence isn't very good, and yet he's still going out, showing out. It's just when a kid has a year like he had last year, he comes back and he threw 2 interceptions the first game, and people are like, oh, nope, he's done. God bless the kid. But I think with Jalen going back and playing Alabama, I think that would just be so epic. I mean, what better storyline when you match up any of these other teams could you put in there?
We had one guy, Gary, say, give me Florida. That's it. That doesn't count as a game, but, you can go ahead and weigh in. It's 850-623-1330 is the number, as you can hit us up on our text line now, 623-1330, 850-623-1330. Would you rather see the Oklahoma versus Alabama, Jalen Hurts getting a rematch, or Clemson, number 5, against Alabama, 5 straight years of playing them in the college football playoff? Or other you can vote. And like this guy did, just putting clearly Florida. Florida, you know what? Florida's got a legit, they actually now, for the first time, the Gators actually can walk into any stadium, into any place, and could compete to win it. That's the difference. Is there's some teams that don't have the capabilities of winning a game, unless a miracle or the team doesn't get up. But very rarely. Like you could play Alabama, Arkansas this week with Mac Jones, 50, 60, 100 times, and Alabama's just going to continue to beat them. Florida is a team that at one point, even when Jim McElwain and that team made the SEC title game, it was a 21-point spread, and Alabama was going to win. It was pretty much, we were just all watching our clocks to see when Alabama was going to be in the college football playoff.
Right.
Right now, for the first time after what Kyle Trask brought to the table, and when their defensive front is healthy with Jabari Zuniga, with guys like Jonathan Grenard, they actually have a legit shot. Because what they did at LSU is they didn't win, but they proved to the country when they were up 28-21, going mano-a-mano, Trask and Burrow, going back and forth, that they could compete. They had a bad fourth quarter, and LSU pulled away, and heck, even covered a 13-point spread by winning 42-28. So if you read the paper in the next day, Jeff, you might be sitting there going, well, look at it, go Tigers, LSU. But the difference was Florida showed that they could hang. They beat Auburn the week before. They crushed Tennessee. They're doing what they can. They're dismantling the teams they were supposed to. And then last week, South Carolina, the Gamecocks. The Cox had walked right between the hedges. They got up for the game, and they felt the excitement, and they walked out with a victory against Georgia. And then the next week, they turn around and they lose in a game where Florida dominated the fourth quarter and late. And that's what you want out of the quarterback, getting better throughout the course of the game. I'm very impressed, and as a Florida fan, you got to look at what Kyle Trask and this team and saying, you know what? We're taking steps to be back where we want to be. And it might not be this year. I don't think it's going to be this year. They'll probably get a New Year's Eve bowl game. But they're getting better every single game, and to me, that should make a Florida fan happy, knowing that they're getting back to being an elite team.
Yeah, and when Trask came in the game, I'm sure Florida fans were kind of like, okay, you don't really know what you're getting. I mean, this young man started behind De'Aaron King in high school, and of course, King goes to Houston as a phenomenal player. But I think it really says a lot to Dan Mullen, and you may not be a Dan Mullen fan or not, but that young man, I say young man, he can coach quarterbacks. And you look at what he did with Trask. I want to ask you this, because I haven't got to ask you this yet. Who do you like better? Do you like Trask, or do you like Franks better?
Oh, are you asking me this?
Yeah. Who?
Well, Jeff clearly, and folks, now Jeff joining us here, Jeff Price clearly does not listen to the show enough because, and not to say you have to, but I'm telling you, because I have been one of those standing on top of a mountain with many leather-bound books and the smell of rich mahogany, as anchorman Ron Burgundy would say, and been yelling, why is Felipe Franks still their quarterback? Florida deserves better. I'm not saying he's a hobo, but for Florida, you looked around and they have playmakers.
Right.
Van Jefferson. You got guys like Hammond. Look, Jacob Copeland.
Yeah,
making plays.
Copeland.
He was the FCC Offensive Freshman of the Week right here from Scambia/Pine Forest. And he goes out there and he's making plays, but the whole team is capable of doing that. But the difference is they just didn't have a leader in clutch situations. Felipe Franks, to me, was like the Energizer Bunny in a wrong way. All you had to do, though, is you put a battery pack on him, and it's like 3-step drop, turn to the left, watch out, Georgia Bulldog, defensive back, Georgia Bulldog, and he would just still throw it. Yeah. He didn't have any vision at all, where when Kyle Trask first gets in that game against Kentucky, he pitches the ball backwards while he gets hit on fourth down. And that play, it showed up in the stat line as LaMichael Pirine 2-yard run for the game. Kyle Trask makes that play. If he does it on fourth down, they lose to Kentucky, and probably everything we're talking about is just irrelevant at that point because they lost to Kentucky. And this is something that it goes to show, Jeff, is Trask has that it factor that isn't judged by being 6'6", laser rocket arm, as Peyton Manning would say in those commercials. Felipe Franks has the body and the build of a NFL-type player, but his smarts, I've seen him on 4th down and 5, no joke, last year against South Carolina, which was probably one of the most atrocious first halves in the history of football. If you watch it, there was, I think, 7 combined turnovers in the first half. Felipe Franks on 4th and 5 was running, saw the pressure, and threw the ball into the stands.
Yep.
And I go, if you did that on my team, and I'm not saying I deserve to be standing on the sidelines, but if you did that on my team, you're done. Yep. I mean, you can't on 4th and 5 chuck a ball into the stands. Give me at least try. Do a backwards pitch. Do anything you can. Maybe even do something where you at least are showing. But by throwing the ball deep into the stands on 4th down and 5, you are giving the team the ball back. So try anything to pick up that, because you're not getting another play after that by doing that. And after that, it just got worse. But Trask is clearly a better overall quarterback for the system and gives them a shot. We are getting some texts in on our hotline right here. We'll call it the Sports Drive text line here at 623. Why not? That's the show. 623-1330 on our Sports Drive text line. We're asking you, what would you like to see in the national championship? Jalen Hurts and Oklahoma battling it out against Alabama. Clemson versus Alabama in a rematch part 5 in the college football playoff, or would you rather see a new game showing up there? You can put your name, where you're from, and Morgan in Monroe, Louisiana right there, and Pensacola, Florida. Now, I'd love to see LSU Ohio State National Championship. Joe Burrow against the team who didn't believe in him would be epic.
So that'd be a good one, too.
I agree. We did bring that up, but I would agree with that. I would love to see that. Dwayne Haskins, to me, he had a great season, but man, and Urban Meyer, I think if he was staying a little bit longer.
Oh, boy.
That oh boy would be that to a lot of things. But, I think a lot of people would look at that and the possibility. What game would you like to see?
I tell you, I go back to it in the Oklahoma-Alabama game. We talk about Jalen Hurts and, the young man stays and things don't really go his way. And Tua comes in and, hey, no shame in losing to a player like Tua. But Jalen wants to just have that chance to almost revenge. And Jalen's such a nice guy, but he's the biggest competitor, and you see that.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk a little bit more about him later. We got that.
So thank you, Morgan, for weighing in. We also got somebody that said Oklahoma, Ohio State, and here's their cell phone number. Just playing. But if you want to put your name on it so we can give you some credit. But we got Oklahoma versus Ohio State as another vote right now. And we got Tiger Bill on the line, 850-623-1330. Tiger Bill, what's happening, my friend?
Hey, I'm listening to the program, and guys, call me an old jock, but I'm from the old school, and the national championship game should be a playoff of conference champs, period. It is not the NFL. It should not be anything like that NFL playoff of who happens to win on a particular Sunday with that NFL, but keep college football what it should be. Remain, and that should be a playoff of champions. Now, from Northwest Florida, I'm a firm believer in Tigers. My first choice would be those LSU Tigers, but if we're not playing Auburn like we are this weekend, I'm still going to be pulling for those LSU Tigers, but otherwise I want Auburn Tigers to do well. So, the Southeastern Conference, one of the best conferences, but if you get a conference champion the chance to play for that national championship, then that brings more credibility to the other conferences across the United States. And it's just a different angle for the way I believe the selection committee should be looking at the playoffs.
Well, Tiger Bill, I appreciate it. I think your sentiment is pretty much what a lot of people around here think, and we would love to see that. And, for conference champions, you only got 5 Power 5, so obviously that one shoe-in would have to be a fake national champion. And if you want to pick one, you can. Go ahead and do that as well. So, that's –
Well, but they could still add credibility by each of those 5, those Power 5. Well, that was a part of the problem that began. But anyway, because we've got to deal with it. But give those 5 conferences a chance, and it's based on what type of play they do in their conference, regardless of what analysis think of
You're
how
right.
good they are.
I agree. Well, hey, Bill, I appreciate the call, my friend.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Tiger Bill giving us a call at 850-623-1330. We do have another text coming in here. Bama versus LSU National Championship 2.0 after the game of the century 2.0. Bring the salt right there. Yeah, look, Tua needs to get healthy for this because this really, truly will be just an epic showdown. And we love, chicks dig the long ball. In football, we love to see high-scoring games. Now, Coach K will sit here and he was like, I loved last year's Super Bowl. Like it was like 3-3 into the ball because he loves the grind it out, the mentality. And football coaches will give you that. If you sent with Brent Venables, he'll be like, 3-0. Give me a 3-0. But if you look at most people, you want to see a 48. I remember, one of the most exciting games I watched was Oklahoma versus Georgia a couple years ago with Baker Mayfield and Jake Fromm, and it was overtime 55 to 48. That kind of game to me, from a fan base, it's exciting. And if Tua is healthy, that's what you're going to get. LSU and Alabama are used to playing these grinders. This ain't this year. This year is going to be
absolutely not.
And I want Tua to be back healthy for that. Now, my LSU purple and gold wife with all of our memorabilia around here, and I have a jersey that says Brillante with the Tigers right there. Nothing like a spiky-haired friend from Boston to be representing the Tigers. But, hey, happy wife, happy life, right? So go Tigers on that. And for the first time, they might not need my help saying that with Joe Burrow. It should be exciting. You can weigh in at 850-623-1330. We have a number of people weighing in here with their picks. Put your name on it, too. You can text it. That's our text line for who would you like to see in the national title game. Would Oklahoma versus Alabama, Jalen Hurts having an opportunity to play against his former team, or Clemson, Alabama Part 5, or a new game like Joe Burrow getting a shot at his old team, like Morgan said. We're coming back for more right here. It's the Sports Drive. Jeff Price having some fun with you. It's the Pensacola Interstate Fair. If you're heading out having something fun to do, well, stop on by. News Radio 92.3, Cat Country 98.7, who just won the CMA Awards for Best Country Music Station. All of those guys are awesome and proud to be part of it. And our ESPN tents giving away a chance for the Man Cave. It's cooler at the fair. Cooler's full of awesome stuff, and you're not going to want to miss it. Just too many prizes, and you could leave like the ultimate kind of man cave. TVs, lazy boys. I tried to tap the keg, by the way, Jeff, and it was not. It was they didn't bring it. It's okay.
That's a bummer.
It was. I tried everything. I pierced it with I've got a pocket knife that's broken, but it's all right. It's for somebody else anyway. Wink. Not in the back of my car right now. When we come back, we'll talk some more about the games coming up in college football. More on Jarvis Landry's comments about we're going to win. We know we're going to win against New England. Actually, scratch that. We don't need to talk about that crap at all because that's just lying to people. We're coming back for more right here in the Sports Drive.
Guys, the secret is out. If you want healthy sex, your body needs nitric oxide. And now you can boost your nitric oxide production faster than you thought possible with Ageless Male Tonight, the absurdly fast formula from the #1 brand in male enhancement. Just take one capsule an hour before romantic activity. You'll get clinically tested ingredients that rapidly boost nitric oxide production, and it won't go unnoticed. Rush to Walmart and get Ageless Male Tonight.
This is Tort Talk with personal injury lawyer Terrence A. Gross.
Hi, this is Terrence A. Gross. Lawyers like doctors specialize these days. You wouldn't go to a cardiologist for knee surgery or a gastro doctor for neck surgery. Therefore, if you are injured in a car accident, you should choose a law firm that specializes in personal injury law. At Gross & Schuster, all 4 lawyers have limited their practices to representing accident victims against insurance companies.
Visit grossandschuster.com.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry's starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter 7780 at checkout. That's harrys.com, code 7780. Enjoy!
At AutoZone, we're all about giving you more ways to get the most out of your ride, no matter the road. With our AutoZone Rewards program, members get a $20 reward every time they spend $20 or more 5 times, which means you'll have more to spend on great deals just like this one. Get 5 quarts of Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil and an STP extended life oil filter for just $33.99. See terms at AutoZone.com/rewards. Restrictions apply.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Local sports radio doesn't stop on Fridays, which is why we bring you Sports Call with Davis and Justin.
College football, NFL, the MLB playoffs, UWF football. We're talking about the big games and sporting news every Saturday from 11 to 1.
Plus, interviews with the athletes, coaches, and fellow journalists.
Sports Call with Davis and Justin.
11 to 1 every Saturday on Pensacola's home for local sports, ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
like Anthony Rendon, Steven Strasburg, they're just walking around town today with this song. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, I feel like, wouldn't you, like, if I went, Peter Griffin from Family Guy, like, walked around to his own theme music?
Yep.
You know, I feel if you're a National fan, just walk around right here. All I do is win right now. What a classic. What a great story. You know, Bryce Harper and his $400 million is like, yeah, I might have bought 2 new mansions. I got a new, gold-plated shark tank for my grotto in the pool with a bunch of honeys, but I don't have a championship. And, yeah, it's a team sport. It is the one sport where you look at it, and Mike Trout, probably the best player in the game today, wouldn't you say?
Bar none. Yeah.
Okay, bar none, exactly. And he has 0 rings, and his team doesn't make the postseason. Barry Bonds, whether you want to say his head's the size of a Macy's Day float out there with Woody Woodpecker, whatever you do, whatever you want to say about Barry Bonds, I'm telling you, if you want to blame someone, blame Bud Selig. You know, Barry Bonds obviously got bigger by doing more than just Big Poppy protein shakes. But the difference was baseball allowed him to play. Barry Bonds never missed an inning. Like A-Rod, and there's many guys out there that actually missed an entire season from PEDs. Miguel Tejada, all these guys, Nelson Cruz's. But Barry Bonds went out there, and he did it, and he was part of it. Him, Roger Clemens, and Mark McGuire's. They all lied, and then Andy Pettitte was like, yeah, I did it, guys. I'm 42. I got a bad shoulder. I'm a champion. Everyone's like, we love you, Andy.
Yep.
Actually, they're in New York, so they're like, yo, we love you, Andy. And then, everybody the next day was happy. But Andy Pettitte was just as big of a cheat as them in a way for the game. But we just love when the guys admit the truth.
Right.
Like Josh Hamilton was a guy that was found naked in the back of an alley on heroin. But he had a great story that he came back and he found himself, went to AA, and then he went out and won the MVP for the Rangers, and people were hugging him. It was a standing ovation for the ESPYs. And I'm like, you don't understand that he said before, like the beginning of the story was he was naked on heroin in the back of an alley. But people are like, we love you, man. Like, we love a good story, a comeback story. That's the difference is for Barry, there was just hate going on. But he won 7 MVPs. Closest ever was 3. 7 MVPs to 3. Best ever, but he didn't have a ring. Never. Rally Monkey and the Angels held that, but he never won a ring. And it just Clayton Kershaw, no ring. One of the best pitchers as he gets older, looking like a werewolf. Jeff, it's the one sport where one individual is not going to get it done. And the Washington Nationals right now are the complete team getting it done. Now, a 12-3 victory and 2-0 to start off. Winning, if anybody said you had to beat Justin Verlander and you had to beat Garrett Cole, who combined, this stat is about to literally blow your head off. Not literally. Sounded like one of those sorority girls. Oh my gosh, I literally ate like 2,000 donuts. Be like, girl, you ate half of that. Yeah, it's a glazed donut. I'm eating whatever's in this cream filled, and I've had 6. So shut up. But old Chris Farley thinks, shut up. I look though right now and say, if you're Houston, and you had Garrett Cole and Justin Verlander, their combined record over the past 3 months was sitting there at 37-2 with a 1.95 ERA. 37-2 with a 1.95 ERA, and they just went in and flat out took care of both of them. It's insane to think what Washington is doing right now, but they've never won a championship. Their whole story, they were 5 games below 500, and at one point in Las Vegas, they were given 0.1%, not 1%, 0.1% chance of winning. It's like when you have one of those football games and you're following it on your phone because you're out. You might be working on a day or you're checking your phone and you see on the side it says, Alabama versus Tennessee last week, 35-13 with 2 minutes left, and it says 99.9% chance of a victory. That means because you always have to give 0.1% just in case.
There's always a chance.
There's always a chance. Dumb and Dumber the movie, 1 in a million. Well, that's what Washington was given. There were 4 games below 500 2 months into the season. They were down there where the Marlins roam, which isn't good. And now they're about to pull off the possibility of this season. What a great story. We have so many great stories this year. St. Louis, the Blues, they had the worst odds. They were with the Arizona Coyotes with the worst odds in all the NHL at 250-1. And they won the Stanley Cup. I mean, it is incredible the season that we're having. But Washington, if they get it done, it's a win for the underdog story. Not roster-wise. They got a lot of good players. Their bullpen and their starting rotation is just lights out. But it's a victory for never give up. The story, Jimmy V and never give up because Washington fans were ready to cash it in. At the All-Star break, They were actually being talked about at shipping some of those guys
Right.
out because they were not one of the contenders. And now they're sitting here only 2 games away with 3 straight at home to winning the World Series.
But don't we root for those kind of teams? I mean, yeah, you like the Astros. I love the Astros.
Unless you're an Astro fan right now, you're like, I'm not losing.
Well, before the Astros were good, they
That's
won,
true.
40 ball games?
That's true,
You know, and they built their team up. And you look at the Nationals, they got rid of Bryce, and no matter what side of the fence you were on that, you were like, they're going to miss that bat. Juan Soto comes in, and, I mean, goodness gracious, give that man the MVP. You know, they didn't skip a beat. He doesn't strike out as much and all this other stuff. And it's just that feel-good story like the old San Francisco Giants, you know, back in the day. And they just kind of that ragtag bunch. It's somehow they keep winning games and nobody knows how.
We do have another vote coming in here. Destin Culberson. No, his name's, I believe that would, yeah, you think that's Destin, his name's Culberson, or he's from Destin? Destin Culberson. Let's just go with that.
I'm going to let you make that decision.
Maybe it was maybe he's Dustin Culberson, and he, you know,
yeah.
There we go. No matter what here. Name is Destin.
There we go.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Perfect. Look,
Thank
on
you.
cue, he texts us right there.
Man, that's perfect.
That's pretty sweet right there. That's pretty cool. We're talking to somebody texting right now live on radio across 4 states. I would like LSU to win out and Florida to win out. Florida to beat LSU in the SEC title game. Both teams get in the playoff and play each other for the national title. Best 2 out of 3. And that is Destin Culberson. Right there as well. And he went on to say, if you ever get my name wrong, I will find. No, he didn't say it. Thanks, Destin, though. I appreciate you weighing in right there. 850-623-1330 is the number. 850-623-1330 is the number. You can weigh in. We're talking about who would you like to see in the national title game with the opportunity of Jalen Hurts today in a conversation saying, I would love nothing better. I would have the respect factor, but would like nothing better to get a shot at Alabama. Jalen Hurts, Oklahoma, Alabama, there's the opportunity. Joe Burrow, LSU, an opportunity against Ohio State. Clemson, part 5, like Mambo number 5 right there. Clemson versus Alabama, 5th straight time. We've seen that story, but it's still fun. It's still fun. When we come back, we'll get to more on that. You can weigh in 850-623-1330 on our hotline right there, as well our text line, and weigh in who would you like to see in the national championship. We're coming back for more right here on the Sports Drive.
Emma Jean and I started Jewelers Trade Shop in 1956.
Our goal at Jewelers Trade Shop has always been to give our customers the best experience imaginable. It's something that my grandfather instilled in my father, and without a doubt, my father has passed on to me. Those basic core goals and values that shaped our business 56 years ago are still very much alive and a driving force behind Jewelers Trade Shop today.
For 3 generations, the story continues. Jewelers Trade Shop in downtown Pensacola.
Bowling is a sport that will last you a lifetime, and at Cordova Lanes on Airport Boulevard, every night there is something exciting happening. Like on Tuesday and Thursday, it's penny a pin. Bowl 100, pay $1. Or how about starting your weekend off right by reserving a lane for just $25 at Moonlight Bowling. Enjoy a fresh-made pizza and the lowest pitcher prices in Pensacola. So what are you waiting for? It's time to roll your way into Cordova Lanes and experience fun like never before.
Gordon Auto Wholesale says yes. No credit, bad credit, bankruptcies, no problem. Over 250 vehicles in stock. Third row SUVs and trucks. Everyone's approved. Gordon Auto Wholesale is the bank and can help you get into a nice, clean vehicle. Carfax checked. Need a new car? Gordon Auto says yes. Can't buy one from the other dealers? Come see Gordon Auto Wholesale on Palafox just 2 blocks south of Airport. Or call 479-9200. That's 479-9200.
Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday.
How about we add Sunday to that list? It's the NFL Tailgate Show at World of Beer.
Your plans just changed.
Yes, they did. Live show, games, prizes, NFL legends.
500 bottles of beer on the wall.
And you can try them all.
And no wrong choices.
Well, trying all 500 week 1, that could be a bad choice.
World of Beer. Beer as you have never experienced it before.
Come on, bro. That was my tag. Your NFL party awaits you at World of Beer.
World of Beer.
Really?
Guys, the secret is out. If you want healthy sex, your body needs nitric oxide. And now you can boost your nitric oxide production faster than you thought possible with Ageless Male Tonight, the absurdly fast formula from the #1 brand in male enhancement. Just take 1 capsule an hour before romantic activity. You'll get clinically tested ingredients that rapidly boost nitric oxide production, and it won't go unnoticed. Rush to Walmart and get Ageless Male Tonight.
Coming up, it's a Football Friday. Will the real Philadelphia Eagles please stand up?
Is Mohamed Sanu about to be a Pro Bowler? And looking ahead to all the Week 8 action, Golic and Wingo Friday, 6-ish on ESPN Radio, ESPN2.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
And welcome back. This Mission Impossible goes out to the Miami Dolphins if they can win a game this year. There you go. Mission Impossible. We'll see. Actually, we were just talking about that. What might be the most intriguing, horrendous game in the history of sports would be in week number 15 or week 16, because the bye week and all, you get that. So week number 16, if Cincinnati and Miami, and they're both on the path right now, both offers. But if Miami and Cincinnati they're playing each other week 16, and they might both be 0-14. And whoever loses that game is pretty much locked to get the number one pick. Yeah. And at that point, even if the next team for some miraculous reason turns around and wants to win the next week, they go 1-15. The other team can only go at best or at worst 1-15, and they would hold the tiebreaker to lose the number one pick. So you might see two teams like taking knees on third down. It's a punt. It's going to be – I don't think it'd go that far. But you would see inside like play calling like, hey, if you miss them on the out route into the stands, no problem here. Don't worry about that. Just make sure you see that guy over there on the slant route. If you want to hit Reggie Nelson over the middle for a touchdown, but he plays for the other team, coach, just do it. Just shut up and do it. Hey, just saying. But,
so not to cut you off, but we.
Oh, you always can do that. No.
Yeah. Bounty Gate and Deflate Gate. Is there like a Tank Gate?
I don't know anymore. See, I feel like at one point, Tankgate meant something as more because it was like Tua this year and then everybody else. But the way Joe Burrow has played lately, he's got to be in the mix. And remember, if anybody's like, yeah, but Mel Kiper doesn't say he's that good right now, be like, listen, Baker Mayfield was looked at as a third or fourth round pick last year until he started or 2 years ago, before he started to win. Then when they got to the college football playoff, then all of a sudden he became a borderline. And then even during the draft and the way he talked himself up, went from around 13 to 14th all the way to 1.
Right.
So Joe Burrow, if he continues, like right now, but if he goes out there and he beats Alabama on national TV and Bryant Denny, and then goes out there and beats Auburn on Saturday and does all this, yeah, please. You think for a second that he's not going to move up to the top 5 of the board? So maybe tanking's not as great as it used to be. Hopefully nobody does it. And if your team's in that mood where you have to tank to get players, I feel bad for you. As a Patriot fan, I feel really bad for you.
Well, being a Titan fan, we tank just enough.
That's right. Just enough to keep you in purgatory of tanking right there. Jeff, we're coming back for more. We'll talk with legendary Auburn coach Pat Dye.
Football season has arrived, and ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM is where the action is. Bringing your high school football every Friday night, UWF football on Saturdays, and the NFL on Sundays. If you would like to partner with ESPN Pensacola as a sponsor or promotional partner, give us a call at 262-6000.
ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM. WEBY Milton, Pensacola.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Coming up in the second hour of the program, we're going to talk a little Auburn LSU with Pat Dye from his ranch over there in Quail Hollow Reserve. We'll also get some more on tonight. We got NFL and college football. SMU, the best team in the state of Texas. Who would have thought? SMU and Baylor right there ahead of all the other teams and all that money. Somebody's not laughing. We're coming back from Sports Drive.
Sprinting down the sideline for the touchdown, his third of the day. Doug Baldwin.
Derek Brooks, who ran back 3 interceptions for touchdowns in the regular season, does it to cement the Super Bowl.
Boxing's elite, the new WBA heavyweight champion of the world, Roy Jones Jr.
screens that Gatlin's taken it. Goodness me, it was a blue American vest. 992 for Gatlin. 992 by the American champion to take gold.
Another Watson is wearing a green jacket at Augusta. And this time, his name is Bubba. Scores on a 34-yard touchdown run by the Doak Walker Award winner, Trent Richardson, who broke a lot of Emmett Smith's records back in Pensacola, Florida.
And welcome back. Second hour of the Sports Drive goes now right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Chad Brillante sitting alongside Jeff Price. You can hear him on WFGX doing a great job with Christian Garmin and have been doing a number of great games throughout the year and kind enough to make time for us today. And always kind enough to find time for us on a Thursday. We appreciate him. Huge week as Auburn and LSU will battle it out. The legendary Auburn coach, Pat Dye, joining us. Coach, we appreciate your time as always.
Well, thank you. I hope LSU's getting ready to play Alabama without Tua.
That's, that is going to be that's the topic, right? I've never seen a game though, Coach, ever that's getting more overlooked because of that story, though. Because LSU and Auburn is one heck of a football game, and everybody down here is like, hey, let's wait in 3 weeks, man. If you're an LSU fan, which I have to be if I want to have a happy marriage, you got to be that with your team being LSU. You better be sitting there and not overlooking this game, because that Auburn defensive front will put a lot of pressure, and Joe Burrow hasn't seen that type of pressure yet this season.
Well, he gets the ball out of his hands so quick. It's hard to get to it. And they really are an outstanding football team. And he makes it all work. Without him, I'd say they'd just be average. But with him, and they got two great receivers, and I understand they're getting Marshall back, and he was in that group before. So, they've got, those two receivers, they got a special. And of course, Barrow's getting the ball to them is just, it's uncanny what he's done from one year to the next.
Coach, you've got a guy in Bo Nix. He's a young guy. You knew his dad, Patrick, and what he did for the school and the full family. He was a little kid at the games growing up. I used to watch them play Oregon. He goes out there, wins a huge game against Oregon, and then has just rode through, play in some hostile environments. But he made the comments this week in the newspaper about, or in the interview, and saying, you know what, I'm not afraid. I've played in 100,000 people, and this is nothing new. When you're playing LSU, do you believe he's seen this type of atmosphere and he's ready for it?
Well, yeah, I do. It can't get any worse than it was at Florida, and the circumstances are a little bit different. At LSU, the stands are further away from the field than they are in Gainesville, which means that the noise. I mean, it's like, where you're on the sideline, it's 15, 20 feet to the stands, and they harass your players and coaches, and of course it was their homecoming, I guess they had 100,000 or whatever that stadium will hold at Gainesville, and it was about as hostile as you can get. Now LSU has got tradition, goes way, way, way back, and I was down there in '88, and lost a game that kept us from going and playing for the national championship. And it's a game that going down there and playing just an average LSU team is one thing. Going down there and playing a great LSU team is something else. and I think this is a great LSU team. I wish it was raining. I wish it rained.
Well, there's signs. Chance of rain never, though. That's what they say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's supposed to rain Friday and Saturday up to 1 o'clock and quit.
Coach, I went down there. My wife.
Okay.
Yeah, no. When I married Brittany, I took her to a UCF-USF game. That is our rivalry, and had about 40,000 fans losing their voice. And then she goes, "You want to come with me next week?" And I said, "Sure." And we go watch LSU Texas A&M with Johnny Manziel and the LSU Tigers. And I remember sitting there going, "Well, I think you got me beat, honey," but it said chance of rain never in 100,000, and it was 39 degrees that night and pouring down rain. So I'll never forget that sign until the day I die.
Who won the game?
Actually, LSU beat the crap out of Johnny and Texas A&M. I think it was 31-14.
Well, they can do it.
I like, what is one thing about this? Do you feel, I feel like the two teams that battled a couple weeks ago when we talked with Auburn and LSU, or Auburn and Florida, are two teams that their fan bases are pretty realistic, but they both are around what Georgia has been and Alabama, and they feel like, hey, you know what? We want to be this, and we've been there at times. We've won championships. When you look at Auburn right now in this game against LSU, do you feel the fan base, and you are the voice for so much of it, do you feel that at Auburn legitimately feels walking in this week that they've got a good shot of winning?
Well, I don't think there's any question about it. I don't think that. They're not. LSU didn't play the same Florida team that we played. They lost their two rush guys early in the first quarter, and they without them. If they don't have them against us, then we win in Gainesville. But that one guy, and I don't know, Greenbar or whatever
Greener,
his name is.
Jonathan Greenard.
Greenard. Listen, he's as good as he is in the conference, and he didn't play that much against LSU. But I think he started the game, but then came out and might have got hurt in that ball game. And that's another thing, is that Florida, I don't know whether you watched the game or saw it or anything, but that was a tough, physical football game. That when we left, we lost, but we left a battered up Florida football team too. And they had to get them ready to play LSU in that hostile environment in Baton Rouge, and I think that played a big part in LSU's ability to beat Florida like they did. Plus losing those two outside rush guys.
It was, and you're right, and I saw that too. I did see that.
Well, we're healthy, and we don't have any hurt. Well, the Whitlow's hurt, but I think that we'll be fine at running back. I think with the freshman Williams, the way he played last week against Arkansas, and I think we'll be fine at running back. I don't think that. I think playing in that hostile environment in Florida is going to help Bo Nix, and it won't be like he won't go into shock like he did down in Gainesville. So, it won't be something that he hadn't experienced before. Now I know LSU's got great tradition. The great tradition at LSU. They can give the fans all the credit they want to, but they got great tradition at LSU because they've had good football teams. And the fans just getting the benefit from it because, they are passionate fans. Don't get me wrong, but we got passionate fans at Auburn, and the same thing in Tuscaloosa and around this conference. They all got passionate fans, and but Alabama hadn't seemed to have any problem going to Baton Rouge and playing and winning down there.
No, they haven't. And Alabama hasn't had a problem going anywhere and winning these days either.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, if you're good enough, you can win. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what counts. And I'd like for Bo Nix to be a senior, but he's a freshman. And But we're not we don't have to apologize for what we show up with down there. Now, we might get beat 3 touchdowns, but I don't think so. I think that it'll be a close ball game, and a lot of our games have gone right down to the wire. And the last play of the ball game decided the outcome. 2 years ago, they beat us on a field goal at the end of the game, the last play of the game, and then 3 years ago, I don't know what it was, but they won on the field goal, and one year they won it, and then we won it, and we ended up time to run out, and we got to win. So it was, that game has taken some funny twists and turns, and it's been decided late in the game in most of them. Some of them have been blown out. And, one of the toughest loss I ever had in my life was in Baton Rouge. Got beat 7-6. And, but and I think we played LSU 4 times, and we won 3, and they won 1. But the games that we won didn't have riding on it what the game that we lost had riding on it, because we played for the national championship, and we won that game in Baton Rouge in '88.
I remember watching that game as a kid, and sorry to age it there. I remember watching that game when I was younger, and that was one heck of it was a battle. I mean, that was an old school battle right there. And that's how you coached a lot of that clash of the Titans in the trenches, just like I'm sure when you played in your days of physical, and it was fun to watch that. The games changed a lot with the offenses, but those were fun, grinded out football games.
Well, we both had great defensive football teams, and of course, LSU had an outstanding quarterback in Tommy Hudson, and we had a good quarterback that won 3 conference. We won the conference championship that year in '88, and with that loss to LSU, but that was the only game in the conference that we did lose, and won the rest of them. But we had our quarterback had won 2 conference championships, Reggie Slack, and he was. But it was a war, that's for sure. That's the earthquake game.
Yeah, Reggie's got a pizza place down here in Navarre now, I think. So that's right down the road. I saw him not too long ago.
Well, good.
Hey, Coach, it's Jeff Price. How you doing?
Good.
So, obviously, Auburn's front 7 is just phenomenal. You talk about Marlon Davidson and Derek Brown and Truesdale and those guys, and you kind of expect them just to do their own thing. I mean, I don't think LSU's really going to slow those guys down. If anything,
they will. I mean, they're gonna have to play, and I don't think there's no doubt in my mind that this is the best football team that we've played. And we played Florida in Gainesville, and I think LSU is better than Florida. And the difference is the quarterback.
Right. Well, and with that, with LSU, we talk about this is a different LSU team. They're used to lining up and just running the football. Of course, with Joe Burrow throwing it all over the yard now. My only question to you is, do you think the secondary is going to be able to hold up or not? Is that kind of what we would say, I guess?
Well, we're going, we'll hold up as good as that talent. We'll let them hold up. Their passing game is so. Look, it's not like the LSU doesn't know what they're doing. They know what they're doing with the passing game, and. When the year I spent at Wyoming, we played Brigham Young. And that's when LaVelle Edwards was the coach out there. And they had, the great quarterback played in the NFL.
Are you talking about, that was Ty Dipner? Or Ty Depner? You had, and then, or Steve Young?
He came in.
Steve Young?
He came. No, he came.
Jim McMahon.
Jim McMahon.
Okay.
McMahon,
I knew it was one of the 3.
McMahon was the quarterback, and and their receivers, they didn't have one probably that ran better than the 4.8. But their timing and their precision in the passing game was so good that you'd have them covered. But when the ball get there, they'd be uncovered. And they knew how to throw the ball when in other words, the quarterback threw the receivers open. And, needless to say, we got beat. And it was but they were probably as good a passing football team as any team that I've ever coached against. And they kept throwing it. And the score was 40 to, I think the final score was like 50 to 28 or something like that. But they beat us pretty good because I wasn't there but 1 year, and we were in a rebuilding cycle, and I'm not making excuses, but they hadn't had a winning season in 8 years when I took the job, and we did have a winning season that year, but Brigham Young wasn't one of them.
Well, Coach, real quickly while you have you here, we're at the Pensacola Interstate Fair this week and having some fun. It's been a busy week, but I wanted to ask you, and I apologize. That's why actually last week I talked to Lynn real quick, but we had some disruption out there at the Pensacola Interstate Fair and weren't able to call you, but I want to apologize myself. But when we talk about the games, Florida State's just having a terrible year. And Bobby Bowden, the legacy, from the South, what he meant to that program and how many great teams, and from Charlie Wards and Derek Brooks. I mean, the list goes on and on. Well, they're not good right now. They just lost to Wake Forest, and they're 3-4 now on the year. But Willie Taggart, it's sort of it's the elephant in the room that he's not good enough to be their head coach right now, but the buyout is worth about $17 million. You were an athletic director as well. At this point, is there an easy decision, or what should Florida State do in your mind?
No, it's pretty simple. Is it going to cost more for us to keep him, or is it going to cost more to buy him out and get somebody in that can win? That's a decision to me that they got to make. Is it going to cost us more money in fundraising and ticket sales and playing to half a stadium or do we bite the bullet and pay him off and go hire a coach that can win? Now, I'm not saying that he can't win. I don't know. I don't know any of the circumstances, and I really haven't heard much about Florida State.
Mm-hmm. As you shouldn't this year.
Florida State is not going to be the same with Dan Mullins at Florida. I can tell you that. I mean, it's going to be different.
I think you're exactly right on
that. And Coach Bowden and Jimbo Fisher got out of Florida State at the correct time because they couldn't beat Clemson. Now, he beat Clemson for a while, but when Clemson got to where they are, then they were the king of the conference, and so the dynamics changed some as far as them controlling the state and recruiting and controlling the state and winning and losing and so forth. So I mean, it's Florida State can be good, but it's going to take a good football coach to go in there and I mean, it's a different job than Florida. Florida is still the state university, and they'll get the pick of the litter in Florida from a standpoint of the athletes if they want them. I mean, they're going to get them. And that's the way it's been. Now, Florida never won a conference championship until Spurrier got down there. All of the time, all the years, many years, but when Spurrier got there, it changed. And it really started changing under Charlie Pale. And Charlie got in trouble, and Florida got in trouble, and then but when they hired Steve Spurrier, he was a great coach, and It took them a year or two, but they started beating Florida State and Miami and whoever else they played, Miami, Alabama, and won a national championship. And that's what Florida's capable of. And the team that Jimbo beat us with in the national championship game, to me was a really good football team. But we did some things against them that helped them win. In other words, they got 17 points on the kicking game, and that's what killed us in the ball game.
Yeah,
they faked the punt.
Yep.
They faked the punt and got a touchdown instead of the game being 23-7 or whatever. Because we had the ball driving it, and they couldn't stop us, and we were getting the ball back with time enough to go in the game, and then run a kickoff back for a touchdown. That's 14, and then we miss a chip shot field goal. There's 17 points on the kicking game that was the difference in the ball game. So,
well, I think what you're talking about here. I'm thinking I'm with you. I think Auburn and LSU this week. It's going to be a good football game. Even the Florida LSU game was a good game, but the end result didn't really show what the game was. If a lot of people stayed up watched that game. The end game was 42-28, but Florida was up 28-21, almost going into the fourth quarter. I mean, it's a tough place to play, but I think Auburn has the type of athletes and players to make this close, and I think it's going to be an exciting game.
Well, we not only got athletes, we got depth too. It's not like we can't keep our people fresh, and that's a big factor, particularly late in the ball game when you got to play defense. We play a lot of people on defense, and that helps.
Yes, it does. Well, Coach, we always appreciate your time, and looking forward to doing this again next week and talking about the game.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Coach Pat Dye right there, legendary Auburn coach. If you're ever looking to get a nice venue for a wedding or anything going on, right there, Quill Hollow is a awesome place. He's got a huge reserve out there where he's 80 years old and he's out there. Sorry, Coach, you might be 79. I'm not sure, but I know we've been talking. But he's still out there. He'll be working on his excavator, cutting down trees. He's out there riding horses. I mean, Coach Dye still gets on out there and is part of it. I hope, I always say, as much coffee and Red Bull as I drink, if I'm still alive at 60, I'm a happy man right now. How many double cheeseburgers and late night meals have been here, fifth meals going on. I'm happy at 60. For him to be 80 still working out there. Yep. Met my next door neighbor, Mike, one of the nicest guys. We just moved, and he's 80. He said he was 81 or 82, and he's still playing softball at Exchange Park all the time. And I'm like, guy looks like you. I'm like, geez, man. I said, last time I got out there, I tripped, and the actual, because I hadn't used them in a while, the actual heel of my cleats that broke out in like 6 years. The glue, the adhesive had ripped from them, and I fell right on my face, and everybody laughed. But I'm like, I'm 34, man, and I'm looking like a joke. This guy's 82 and dominate. But Coach is always great to have on, and we appreciate his time. It's an important, valuable time. He's a Hall of Famer in college football. Coach some of the best, and to have him on the show every single Thursday and to have Coach Gene Stallings on the show every Wednesday is quite the treat. So we appreciate it, those guys, and we know as fans you guys enjoy it as well. When we come back, we're going to get to more of what's going on in college football. Big game coming up in about 6 minutes. SMU Mustangs ready to buck them up against Houston, and one of my favorite games on my favorite network. I know most of you will be watching on ESPN. I will be watching on the Houston channel, which is the Cougar Network. Coming back for more right here in the Sports Drive.
Batter's a different look. Pitchers throw a changeup.
Your idea of a different look is sunglasses.
That's true. But La Quinta Inns and Suites is really taking the different look thing to a new level.
Definitely a major league makeover, starting with a bolder, brighter lobby full of comfortable spaces to let you settle in.
Or chill out in front of a big flat screen like Wingo would.
Oh, you know it. It's a changing La Quinta look to help you get in the zone and look sharp when you hit that big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com.
There's a lot going on right now, and broadcasters are on the ground covering all of it, bringing you the weather, the traffic, and breaking news, all while entertaining you 24 hours a day. Someone needs to tell you what's going on around the world and in our hometowns. And that someone is us. We are free radio. We are always there. We are broadcasters. Visit wearebroadcasters.com or text radio to 52886 to learn more. Furnished by NAB and this station.
Hey there, I'm a glue stick, so I have one job. I glue kid stuff. So sorry for being jealous of Geico, who does a ton more, like give you 24/7 access to thousands of licensed agents. And Geico has been around for over 75 years and has a 97% customer satisfaction rating. While I've just got mediocre adhesive skills, Geico also has an award-winning mobile app. Uh-oh, arts and crafts time. No eating the glue stick, Miss Lydia!
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
When working at a growing business, you wear many hats. The new business hat, the buying toner for the copy machine hat, the sifting through tons of resumes hat. You can throw away that last hat thanks to Indeed.com. When posting your job, Indeed lets you add screener questions that give you a less time-consuming route to your short list of qualified candidates. So go ahead, dust off that extra long lunch hat. Hiring's better when you've got your short list. Save time on hiring when you post a job on Indeed. Get started today at Indeed.com/hire.
ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM, is locally owned by ADX Communications. Our sister stations include Cat Country 98.7 and News Radio 92.3 AM 1620. As a company, we have the staff, the generators, and the resources to help get you through hurricane season. For all the information you need, our stations are here to serve you with wall-to-wall coverage throughout the storm. When the storm is here, we are on. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 The Paul Feinbaum Show.
Everything you wanted to happen hasn't happened.
Oh my gosh, that's all any of y'all want to talk about is Alabama.
You're really not understanding the conversation, but anyway, we can move on.
Alabama's dynasty has just begun.
Hold on a second, Charles. Somebody wants to talk to you.
I don't want to talk that compelling moron. He's nothing but a lame-headed old man.
2 till 5 every weekday afternoon. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
You're out of your freaking mind, cow turd.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola, 1330.
And welcome back. Sports Drive with you right here. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Thanks again to Coach Pat Dye for joining us right there, as he always has a fun time with us as we are able to break down the biggest games and all. He enjoys getting to always enjoys having fun with us. As big game this week, LSU and Auburn. And that's probably, Jeff, the most overlooked game. As Jeff Price joining us here, you can hear him on WFGX doing a great job with Christian Garmin each and every Friday for the big games. By the way, who are you guys doing tomorrow?
We're going to do the Milton Pace game.
Yeah.
And, of course, it got changed.
Moved, yeah.
So now we're doing West Florida Tech PHS, which you got two teams that are reeling right now, which I think West Florida Tech team, and it doesn't mean anything for Coach Summerford and those guys, but they're probably the best one-win team in the world.
Yeah.
You know, they have just played, I think it's the second toughest schedule in the state. And, of course, last week we had them against Pine Forest, and they lost 24-17, and it was just, man, those guys, it's just so tough sledding to see a team come so close, and then you see LD Clarity and those guys just take it away from them like they always seem to do.
Yeah, and a lot of those teams, like you talked about, some of these guys can play. I mean, they put up some big numbers, and these guys are some good players out there. We got some good teams in this area this year. I'm pretty excited and pretty impressed with what I've seen. And it's the first time, I mean, before we had a lot of teams, it seemed, over the last couple of years, because I've done the games with high school football too, and on TV with WFGX, Blab TV, and ESPN Pensacola now will be covering some big games as well. And Joe and Justin and those guys do a great job right here for our station. But I'm telling you, this is the first year where a lot of those teams that there was a lot of 7-3, 7-4 type teams that now all of a sudden are undefeated, and I feel like there's more of those than ever in the area.
Yeah, and I go back to it. I think that the best feel good story is Washington.
Mm-hmm.
You got to give them credit, and Coach Whidden coming over from Niceville, doing a really good job getting those guys together. Coach Bennett doing the same thing. He just continues to win ball games, at Escambia. And A.V. Smith and those guys, JoJo Black, man, if you don't know who those guys are, you will. Don't worry. You'll be watching them on Saturdays. But, yeah, I think that this year has been the year that I guess most consistently we got the most athletes that have the chance to play at the next level. But not only that, I guess, is like you said, we've always had those kind of teeter teams that maybe go in the first round of the playoffs, get put out, or second round. But it's weird because we've got teams like a Washington that's up, but then you got teams like a West Florida Tech that's down, a team like Navarre that's just reeling this year, playing tough schedules and things. And I don't know. I think it's the most fun year we've had. And you look at teams like Northview and Baker in the north end of the county up there just doing their thing. And I don't know, man. I love football in general, but the high school, you just see kids go out there and give everything they got. And when you see these coaches, the work they put in, and keep in mind they're teaching in classrooms during the day, and they got to come out, and they don't get to go home till 7, 8 at night. It's just so tough for these guys and the athletes, with all the social media and everything like that. These guys go out there and they focus and they look at the bigger picture. So it's been a fun year, but nonetheless, I'm excited to see. Hopefully we can get a couple state championship teams this year.
Well, yeah, you will see. I think winning a state title is pretty tough at the biggest level, but we have a couple teams this year for the first time that I think can get that done. Looking at some of the other things going on, when you look right now at really the NBA starts, LeBron James and them, they go out, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, they lose their first game against the Clippers.
Yep.
Clippers will be back at it. Is there one team, now Golden State, Klay Thompson's going to be out for the year. Is there one team, I feel like Milwaukee is getting bigger, stronger, and faster as a team. They're going to be a beast. But the Clippers now with Kawhi and PG-13 and the way Leonard is just, he's such a freak of nature the way he plays. You got tonight James Harden and Russell Westbrook will be in their first game right there. Is there one team that you got your eye on as the team?
I want to say Houston, just because, and everybody's been the naysaying about James Harden and Westbrook and, how are two people going to hold the same basketball at the same time, I feel like that's going to work.
Yeah.
I just have a feeling, because everybody's telling them it's not going to work. They're going to find a way to make it work. Hey, the Golden State Warriors, look what they did.
Yeah, that's true.
They had guys that if they split up, they could go make their money, but they wanted to win a championship, and that was the ultimate thing. And I think for James Harden, he wants to win a championship. He's tired of just being on the cusp, but never been able to finish it. And now he's got a running mate in Westbrook that is unbelievable.
I think, here's the thing with Russell Westbrook. I think he's in the perfect scenario now. I think this is a match that's better than the CP3 match because CP3 is a point guard. He's a point guard first, and that's what he does. Well, James Harden is sort of a point guard. I know he's a bigger guy, but James wants the ball.
Right.
See, they both have their dynamics that can help each other because Russell Wilson, yeah, he plays.
Yeah, he's good too.
He plays baseball, the sports, but Russell Westbrook is the kind of guy that can drive the hoop. And the thing is, for the first time, there was a lot of hanging out, dribbling like an and one video behind their through their legs. And now, when you've got somebody like with Westbrook's going to drive the paint. Like before with him and, they didn't have a lights-out three-point shooter last year on their team. Paul George is a good three-point shooter, but they didn't have – James Harden will make threes, and both of them will be better because of that. Westbrook will be able to drive right to the hoop and lay it in for the easy deuce. And now if you try to double-team him, you can kick it right to Harden, and he'll hit the shot, or P.J. Tucker in the corner for a three.
Yep.
They put together the pieces where I think Russell and Harden work better than Paul and Harden do. And remember, if Paul doesn't get hurt a couple years ago, then they don't win. They might win it all. They were actually up in that series and about to try to close it out in 6 against Golden State. The hamstring injury, and Paul loses. So, yeah, I think so. But at the same time, they're both give me some kind of guys too. So will that work out? Because Westbrook and Harden both want to get their piece. And will that relationship work long term? Because sometimes it doesn't. It's going to be ultimately up to them whether they decide. But athletically, yeah, that's going to be pretty fun. Even though tonight, when you go up against a team like Milwaukee, that's probably the best roster overall in the NBA right now. That is a freak of a team, the way that guys like Eric Bledsoe and what you have out of Chris Middleton and obviously Giannis and the way he's been, getting it, the Greek freak. Easier to say that right there. So when we come back, we're going to talk a little more college football. We'll get into some of the NFL. Coach K. Stevenson will join us right here. It's the Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola. You can always weigh in. 850-623-1330 is the number, 850-623-1330, and also follow us on Facebook at ESPN Pensacola 1330 and 99.1 FM.
Papi, walking around our block is like walking around the world.
How do you mean?
My friend Kayla's from India, Lily's from China, and Basa's from Ethiopia.
We're lucky we live in a diverse community where people from different backgrounds live in the same neighborhood.
I like it.
To learn more about how the Fair Housing Act promotes diversity, visit HUD.gov/fairhousing. The Fair Housing Act prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, national origin, disability, and familial status. A message from HUD in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance.
Welcome to Mo!
Okay, hi, what are we doing today?
I need something that screams something fun. Nothing too on the face, nothing too off the face, but also totally hot.
So I have the perfect thing. It's the most food mullet. You're totally business in the front, but tailgate in the back. It's a fat party. People are having fun. You know, snap. All your friends are going to be like, whoa, awesome setup. Everyone else is going to be all jelly, okay?
Just like a killer mullet, Moe's Catering will turn the back of your ride into a tailgate party that's sure to turn some heads. Just order ahead and pick it up on your way.
Moe's Southwest Grill, now open in Pace on Highway 90 next to Publix grocery store.
Local sports radio doesn't stop on Fridays, which is why we bring you Sports Call with Davis and Justin.
College football, NFL, the MLB playoffs, UWF football. We're talking about the big games and sporting news every Saturday from 11 to 1.
Plus, interviews with the athletes, coaches, and fellow journalists.
Sports Call with Davis and Justin.
11 to 1 every Saturday on Pensacola's home for local sports, ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
This is Tort Talk with personal injury lawyer Terrence A. Gross.
Hi, this is Terrence A. Gross. In 1986, the Florida Bar limited personal injury contingency fees through trial to 40%. At that time, I thought that was too high. I've now practiced personal injury law in Northwest Florida for over 40 years, and I'm proud to say I've never charged a client 40%.
Tort Talk is brought to you by Terrence A. Gross. Call 434-3333 or check him out at grossandschuster.com.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
There's a lot going on right now, and broadcasters are on the ground covering all of it, bringing you the weather, the traffic, and breaking news, all while entertaining you 24 hours a day. Someone needs to tell you what's going on around the world and in our hometowns. And that someone is us. We are free radio. We are always there. We are broadcasters. Visit wearebroadcasters.com or text radio to 52886 to learn more. Furnished by NAB and this station.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Drive on this Thursday evening. Chad Leonte alongside Coach K. Stevenson. You can hear him each and every day right there on Talk Football with Coach K. Kind enough to make time for us here today on the Sports Drive as we break down all the biggest games. A reminder, you can go to our Facebook page and Calvert's in the Heights. Win a $25 gift card right there. Some of the best lunch you'll have, and proud sponsor right there for Coach K on his show. And Scott and the folks do a great job down there. Amazing food. They've got the NFL package. And this week's games we're ready to pick will be LSU versus Auburn. That will also be the tiebreaker game. It'll be Wisconsin versus Ohio State, Arkansas versus Alabama, and then the big game, one of the rivalries from before in Notre Dame and Michigan. In the NFL, Cleveland and New England. You've got Carolina and San Francisco, two surprising teams, I think, overall, from where a lot of people saw them at the beginning of the year with Kyle Allen and now with Jimmy Garoppolo. Green Bay and Kansas City, even without Patrick Mahomes, a huge game for bragging rights. And then Arizona at New Orleans as the rookie, Kyler Murray, goes into the Bayou right there to take on the possibility of Drew Brees or Teddy Bridgewater at this point at 6-1. Coach, it's going to be an exciting week of football, especially in college football when you look right now at so many big games. It's a little disappointing Wisconsin, Ohio State might not be for the Big Ten really lead right now, but it's still a good week overall.
Yeah, I was really surprised that Wisconsin lost that ball game. Totally surprised, to be honest with you. Thought Wisconsin might be in the hunt for the national championship.
And now it's not. Yeah.
But by the way that LSU Auburn game becomes a tiebreaker is that's the only game we ask you to put a score with. Put a score with that game. The other games you can just pick. But put a score if you'd like. But with that one, then if we end up with 2 or 3 people doing the same thing, we'll use that score of the LSU Auburn game.
Yes, and also if you don't have time to call in, you can always weigh in. The easiest way to do it is to go to our Facebook page at ESPN Pensacola, or even simpler, we don't condone texting and driving, but everybody is going to. If you're sitting at a stoplight for a few minutes, whatever you're doing out there, I'm not the one that's going to judge what you do, but you can even talk into your phone. That's easier that way. People know how to do that. It's 623-1330, 850-623-1330. If you text in that number and just go ahead and text your scores, we have them posted, then you can just go ahead and win. So remember, it's Notre Dame, Michigan, LSU, Auburn. You have the game between Wisconsin, Ohio State, Arkansas, Alabama. NFL games, Cleveland, New England, Green Bay, Kansas City, Carolina versus San Fran, and then Arizona versus New Orleans. Those are the games. If you text in, we'll get your picks. The tiebreaker will be LSU Auburn for the score, and whoever has the best results right there will win the $25 gift card and other prizes going forward here. So we're going to have some fun. Coach, I want to get a little into that LSU Auburn matchup right there. It's a big matchup, but everybody has talked this LSU Alabama game for so long, but this is a big game, and Auburn right now statistically has the best defense in the country. That doesn't make them the best defense overall. It was Wisconsin last week, but then they lost to Illinois. What do you make of this team? And they've got 4 or 5 guys up in that front defensive line that are going to be NFL caliber players. I just don't know if they have the firepower, or if anybody for that matter does, to go up against Joe Burrow right now.
Well, I think you've put it in the proper perspective. They do have a great defense. Defense travels. And it's going to be tough for most teams to penetrate a defense like Auburn has, because they do have the front 7 that can take control of the football game. They're not bad in the secondary. They're pretty good in the secondary. Overall, I've heard since even before the season started that they're probably in the top 3 defensively in the country. Now, with the way LSU's playing right now and with what they do, and keep in mind, what they do speaks so well that they can overcome a great defense quicker than other teams can. If you had to line up and physically whip that front 7, play in and play out by running the football, you may have some problems doing that. But when you can get over the top and put the pressure on that secondary, which they do, that's their game. And it's not like them stepping out of their game to go do that, because it is the right thing to do from a coaching standpoint. That is their game. That's what they do to make a living. And what Burrow is doing is just outstanding. I had no idea that they were gonna be as proficient throwing the football as they are. I like what Burrow's doing. I've watched him play now. I know he does a lot with the pre-snap look. I know that Brady, the young coach that came over from the Saints, has done an outstanding job of putting this offense together. He spreads people out. He gets matchups. He gets the pre-snap looks. He gets the appropriate throws at the appropriate time. He's got blitz beaters. He's going to beat the blitz in a number of ways, and he's just got the whole package. And so I think it's just going to be very, very difficult for Auburn to stop them.
And it's going to be an exciting game to watch. It's coming up here. We've got the game, and we're going to be checking it out right here with ESPN Pensacola, looking at all the big scores throughout the day. You can tune in on College Game Day, and then UWF with an early kickoff. Remember, the sports call right there with Davis and Justin will be 11 to 11:30. Then UWF will play Florida Tech on Saturday early at 11:30, and leading right into the biggest college football talk right there on ESPN Pensacola with the games throughout the day. So we'll keep you posted with all the scores, and you can tune in at any time. One of the conversations, Coach, in the NFL right now is the quarterback and the situation of if a guy wins his job or loses his job, and should it be his when it comes back. Some are inevitable. I mean, if Drew Brees, there's no argument. Even if Teddy Bridgewater's 5-0, which he is, even if he moves to 6-0 and starts this week against Arizona, which if he does, he should. It's Drew Brees' team. Same thing with Tom Brady. There's a few that have earned that right. But if you look at a Cam Newton situation, where Kyle Allen's going to start this week, or if you look at a situation where you might have a decent quarterback that gets hurt and somebody takes his job, the Dak Prescott to Tony Romo story a few years ago. As a head coach, your loyalty, does it go with the best player to win that game, or at that point, are there some guys that have earned the right to make the coaches feel like he's their man? Because I know from us on the outside, we're not there in practice every day. How tough of a situation is that for a head coach?
It's tough, but there's certain steps that you take to help you make that decision, Chad. And if I can, I'll go into just a little detail here. You chart everything during the week in practice, number one. And if the guy's ready to play, quarterback coming back from injury, if he's ready to play that following week, then he's ready to practice all week. That's number one. If he can't practice, but says he's ready to play, you're not going to just put him back out there, okay? Until he's ready to practice all week, just like your presumed starter would, then you're not going to put him out there. But you chart everything that they do, from the 7-on-7s to the team. And then another secret to success here, the coaching staff, you discuss it totally with the staff, including your defensive coaches, who looks better to you, and you make some coaching decisions. And then you have some private meetings. And when I say private, I don't mean sitting on the bench in the locker room. I mean in your office with a couple of the leaders off your football team, and see what they think. Word gets around. You'd be surprised. I mean, not that you're going to let players make decisions on that, but it helps to give you an idea if the players they seem to be totally committed behind one or the other. Because they do know, they've got a feel, and they've got there's a confidence level that goes along with who you play. So that helps as well. When you put all those things together, how they do in practice, coaches' decisions as you talk it through the week, and then a personal touch from the players, then you make a more intelligent decision, I think, on who's going to play. Now, what you don't want to do is, and it's an old axiom that everybody's familiar with, old cliche. You don't put the fire out if the fire is burning. You don't purposely put it out. But there's no question about. To me, there's no question about New Orleans. Now, if it were me personally as a coach, I would like to see Breeze take another week off this week. The way Bridgewater's playing. Let Breeze take another week off against Arizona, and then he gets the bye week, and then he plays. That is a tremendous amount of stress off that injured hand. And then, but Kyle Allen, the way he's playing right now, and quite frankly, for over a year, your starter has not played that well. So he's an if. He's not throwing the ball that well. I would play Allen in that situation.
And just reported on ESPN earlier today, Drew Brees has been telling reporters around New Orleans and in Metairie during practice that he's ready to return this week, and he looks like it's ahead of schedule. Now, it's ultimately, I'm sure the decision will be made with what we're talking about, why rush back. But, there's two ways to look at this. With the NFL today, it does protect the quarterbacks. What happened to him was unfortunate, the way that went down. But if you are Drew Brees, you gotta think, no quarterback, if you had to choose. I mean, Drew Brees is worried about one thing now, winning a Super Bowl after – it probably happened to the nicest guy in the world, because most guys here, I could just imagine, we all have bad days at work or around the office. bad days, around the game. But, Coach, it's one of these kind of things where Drew Brees, the way they've lost 2 years in a row, completely out of his control until overtime in the shot, but where it looked like he set his team up for the field goal, or where he, on fourth down, I can still see like it's yesterday, finding Willie Snead on the sidelines on that out route to beat Minnesota and thinking that kick from Will Lutz won them the game. And all they have to do is stop a ball in play 98 yards, and they can't. Drew Brees is one of the most humble guys, but gosh, it's got to be eating him alive at his age, what he's done the last 2 years to put his team to win a Super Bowl. And if you're going to go back when Drew Brees comes back, it's like a party. I mean, it'll be rocking this week. So how loud it will be against an opponent that's inferior that you're going to beat. And then third, in a game against the bad defense where you can look a lot better. If he was coming back at New England, I would personally advise him, hey, you might want to lay low. Let Teddy take this one and then go out there next week. But that's how I'm looking at this one. I know some people would say the opposite. You want to win every game and give the best player the best opportunity to win.
Here's the problem, Chad. There are no easy wins in the National Football League. I don't care who it is. There are no gimmies. And number two, his particular injury, people don't have to hit him around the knees or anything else. It's his thumb. He could come down on somebody's shoulder pads or helmet anytime, practice or anything else. They're going to be exceptionally careful with him in practice. You can bet they won't let anybody even get near him in team or anything else because they don't want to re-injure in any way or hinder the progress on that thumb. I'm just saying he's got two additional weeks.
And enjoying the conversation here with Coach K about the injury right there and whether Drew Brees should come back. But we do have to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk with Jeff Price a little more on some college football. SMU going on right now as SMU taking on the Houston Cougars in a matchup 0-0. SMU drove pretty much the entire length, 80-something yards, and then got stopped right there at the 1. That's got to hurt, but still a lot of football left, and they're undefeated, and Houston's really bad. Coming back for more, it's the Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola.
There's a lot going on right now, and broadcasters are on the ground covering all of it, bringing you the weather, the traffic, and breaking news, all while entertaining you 24 hours a day. Someone needs to tell you what's going on around the world and in our hometowns, and that someone is us. We are free radio. We are always there. We are broadcasters. Visit wearebroadcasters.com or text radio to 52886 to learn more. Furnished by NAB and this station.
Here are the ESPN Pensacola 94.5 contest rules. You can win one prize per household per contest in any 30-day period, unless specified by individual contest rules. All prizes on ESPN Pensacola 94.5 are non-transferable, non-redeemable in cash, nor exchangeable for any other prize. ESPN Pensacola 94.5 prizes must be redeemed within a 30-day period of winning, and you must be 18 years of age or older to win. For a complete list of rules, visit ESPNpensacola.com.
To protect her home and family in a disaster, Karen was willing to wade through water, mud, and insurance paperwork.
Yeah, I can do this.
You go, Karen! By simply understanding and updating what her insurance covers and doesn't cover now, she'll be better prepared no matter when disaster strikes. Learn other simple ways to protect your home and family before a natural disaster at ready.gov. That's ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hear ye, hear ye. I bringeth thee a message from... a message from the king and his new trumpeter, Stephen. The king wishes me to convey his favor to thine team and thine tailgate. Not yet. He invites thee to let the Bud Light flow forth. And he also wishes me to tell thee that he toasts thee. Waiteth until the end, Stephen! With game day's favorite light lager and the slogan of his kingdom... Oh! Dilly dilly!
Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, AB, St. Louis, Missouri.
Welcome to ESPN Pensacola, 1330 FM 99.1. Pensacola's home to the best talk in sports, new and improved. We are ESPN Pensacola, 1330 and FM 99.1.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola, 1330.
With YouTube Kids, you manage your family's experience.
Just choose from 3 content levels based on your kid's age. Pick the right experience.
And welcome back. Sports Drive with you right here. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. That's what happens. You got all these, these windows popped up on here, talking and watching the games and checking them out. When you get to this point, it's like 6:55, and you got NFL and college football, NBA going on in here, and apparently there was it sounded like one of the YouTube ads going on there. So there you go. So welcome back. We got about 5 minutes left as Jeff Price joining us here, having some fun. Jeff, always great to catch up, and from an Oregon standpoint, Justin Herbert, do you feel, and we talk so much in this area, and you're going to get that. On the West Coast, it's different, but we talk so much every day about Joe Burrow and also what Tua does. But you got Jalen Hurts and what he's doing at Oklahoma, the way Ohio State and Justin Fields have not missed a beat, Jake Fromm's, even with Kyle Trask. But, Justin Herbert, do you feel like he made the right choice, A, going back to Oregon, and B, do you think he's going to be a good NFL pro?
I think he made the right choice, and you can look at kind of up and down year, but of course Oregon being their one-loss team now, he matured a lot. And people can say, oh, well, look at the Auburn game, made a boneheaded throw. Well, I think everybody does that, but I think games like that actually helped him because he played up until that point, played really well in that game.
Yeah.
He had a quarterback rating of like 138, and you can imagine how many scouts were there, especially because he was possibly one of the top-rated quarterbacks that was going to go in the first round anyway. I think he did himself a lot of favors. Not necessarily maybe people look at it, oh, well, he should have left. He was on a high note. But for himself to mature in the long run. You know, we look at a guy, he has a good year, and they're like, oh, leave now. Leave now. Get out of here. Well, Herbert's just such a smart guy. He's a team guy. And really the thing I like about him is he takes what the defense gives him. He doesn't a whole lot just try to throw in double coverage and throw it up and hope for the best. And with Oregon, he's done this year. A lot of people don't understand. We just now got receivers back. We were going with guys that were playing cornerback because we didn't have another receiver on the depth chart. And so what he's been able to do up until this point, I'm happy for the guy. And I don't know if he'll go ahead of guys, like Tua or whatever. And he probably shouldn't because he's not as flashy as they are. But he's going to be somebody's quarterback for a really long time.
And I think today in the NFL, getting on the right team with the right guys is so vital.
Right.
I mean, if you think about like Jared Stidham, he's going to learn from Tom Brady. He's going to sit back there. Doesn't have to get rushed into anything except for games that are up by 40, like against the Jets, and taking a knee at the end of the game. Outside of that, that's got to be a fun job where nobody cares except for you to take a knee for a victory formation. I look at other quarterbacks like Josh Rosen. He was a little smug. I didn't like his attitude. But when Rosen came out, when he got thrown in the Wolves in Arizona, it was bad. And then he got worse when he went to Miami. And now people are going to be like, his career's done. Like, what could have been if he got with a team like the LA Rams, or if he was with a team that had a great offensive air raid attack with a good mind. Today it's hard to tell because if you're on the right situation at the right time and the coach believes in you, like a Lamar Jackson situation, you just never know what you're going to get. And today in the NFL, it's so critical that people allow you to be you. I mean, Russell Wilson's and people like that, to allow people to be themselves. And some teams just won't let that happen. And I think that's going to be, because I think Herbert has the skill. A lot of these quarterbacks, this could be one of the best, the way Joe Burrow is playing now, could be one of the best quarterback drafts. And I know we talked about it a couple years ago, but I'm talking physical talent for long term. Joe Burrow, Tua, Trevor Lawrence next year, but then what we have in Justin Herbert, those guys all could be legit long term. Even Jake Fromm, I'm not ruling out, can't be a quarterback in the NFL. So it's going to be pretty exciting. Jeff, enjoyed today's show, and thanks for joining us. All right. We'll have you back up here. Jeff Price joining us here for the Sports Drive. You can hear him and Christian Garman, WFGX, the Games of the Week, do an awesome job each and every Friday. Reminder, tomorrow, a lot of people are asking, we've got the Washington-Escambia game, exciting right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM, with our good friends Joe Ford, Justin Patrick. It's Fair Night. Be safe if you're heading out there. Pensacola Interstate Fair. We'll be back tomorrow for more right here on ESPN.
Football season has arrived, and ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM is where the action is. Bringing your high school football every Friday night, UWF football on Saturdays, and the NFL on